Welcome back to the channel Valuable Coins HD, another exciting episode where we uncover hidden treasures in the world of rare coins. Today, we're diving into a coin that has a special place in many collectors' hearts, the 1954 Lincoln Wheat Penny. If you're a fan of vintage US coins, then you're going to want to stick around for this one. What makes this particular penny so intriguing, you ask? Well, sit back, relax, and let me tell you all about it. Now, the Lincoln Wheat Penny is a classic American coin. It was minted from 1909 to 1958, and it remains one of the most beloved coins in U.S. history. The design, created by the famous engraver Victor David Brenner, features the portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, with the iconic wheat stalks on the reverse, symbolizing America's agricultural roots. But even among all the years of production, the 1954 Lincoln Wheat Penny stands out as a coin that's worth much more than its face value. The key to understanding why the 1954 Lincoln Wheat Penny can be so valuable lies in a few important factors: its rarity, condition, and the possible minting errors that make certain examples even more valuable. While millions of these pennies were minted in 1954, not all of them are created equal. Some of these coins were kept in circulation for decades, and over time, most of them have been damaged or worn down by daily transactions. This means that finding a high-quality, uncirculated 1954 penny is rare, and those in excellent condition are highly sought after by collectors, but it doesn't stop there. Some 1954 Lincoln Wheat pennies feature unique errors or variations that make them stand out. Coin collectors and numismatists alike are always on the lookout for these types of rare pieces. What kind of errors are we talking about? Well, one common example is the D/D mintmark variety, which occurred when the mint mistakenly overstruck a D mintmark onto a coin that already had a D mintmark. This error resulted in an unusual double mintmark that's incredibly rare and valuable. These types of minting errors are a collector's dream, and if you come across one of these, you could be holding a coin worth a small fortune. Additionally, some 1954 pennies were struck on incorrect planchets or with misaligned dies, leading to distorted images and irregular shapes. These mistakes, though seemingly minor, significantly increase the value of the coin in the eyes of a collector. Coins with striking defects can fetch prices far higher than those that are simply in good condition. Now, let's talk about the metal composition. The 1954 Lincoln Wheat Penny is made from copper, a metal that has only become more valuable over time. As the price of copper rises, so does the intrinsic value of these pennies. Although this doesn't mean every 1954 penny is worth more because of its copper content, it does add to the overall allure of these coins in certain markets. So, how much could a 1954 Lincoln Wheat Penny be worth if it's in pristine condition or has an error? Well, brace yourselves, because here's the big reveal. If you're lucky enough to own a mint condition 1954 penny or one with a rare error, it could be worth up to $52,000. That's right, folks, $52,000 for a single coin. It's amazing to think that a humble penny, something you might find lying around in your pocket, could be worth such a large sum of money. This is a perfect example of how the world of rare coins works. Rarity, condition, and unique features like mint errors can all dramatically increase a coin's value. Now, you might be wondering how you can tell if your 1954 Lincoln Wheat Penny is worth that much. Start by checking its condition. If the coin is still shiny and looks close to brand new, it could be considered uncirculated, which is a major plus for its value. After that, carefully inspect the mintmark for any abnormalities, particularly any double mintmarks or errors in the design. If you notice something unusual, it's worth getting the coin appraised by a professional. So, if you've got any old pennies tucked away in your collection or lying around the house, it might be time to go through them. You never know, that 1954 Lincoln Wheat Penny might just be the hidden gem you've been waiting to find. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most iconic and sought-after pennies in U.S. history, the 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny. This little coin might seem like just another piece of pocket change at first glance, but as we dig into the details, you'll quickly see why it holds such tremendous value for collectors. Let's take a step back to 1944. World War II was raging across the globe, and the U.S. was fully immersed in the war effort. This particular penny was minted during that time, which already adds an interesting historical context to its existence. The 1944 Lincoln wheat penny was made of steel, but not just any steel. This coin was made from steel-coated zinc, a result of wartime metal shortages. Due to the war, copper, the metal typically used to mint pennies, was needed for ammunition and other military supplies. So, the U.S. Mint switched to this alternative material for the 1943 pennies, and by 1944, they transitioned back to copper. But here's where things get interesting. Some 1944 pennies were mistakenly struck on steel planchets, the same kind of planchets used for the previous year's pennies. The 1944 steel penny is one of the rarest and most coveted error coins out there. Imagine having a coin that was supposed to be copper but somehow got struck on a steel planchet by mistake. This is the kind of error that turns a regular coin into a valuable treasure. The rarest of these coins is the one struck at the Philadelphia Mint, but even the ones minted in Denver or San Francisco can fetch a high price if they're in good condition. The vast majority of the 1944 pennies were made from copper, so finding one of these steel versions is like finding a needle in a haystack. The key factor that makes the 1944 Lincoln wheat penny so desirable to collectors isn't just the steel composition, though. The condition of the coin plays a massive role in its value. A well-preserved penny that has been kept in excellent condition for decades can be worth a pretty penny itself. So, how do you identify one of these rare steel pennies? It's actually quite simple. If you have a 1944 penny and it's magnetic, then you're looking at a steel version. That's because steel is magnetic, while copper is not. It's a quick and easy test to see if your penny is worth much more than just a cent. Now, let's talk about the specific errors that make these coins even more valuable. As we've already mentioned, the 1944 steel penny is the most sought-after version of this coin. But don't think that's the only rarity with this particular year. There are also examples of double strikes, where the coin has been struck twice, giving it a double imprint of the design. These kinds of minting errors can make a coin even rarer and, therefore, even more valuable. Collectors are always on the lookout for coins that have these distinctive features, as they are one-of-a-kind items that set them apart from others in their collection. So, what's the value of the 1944 Lincoln wheat penny if it's in perfect condition, especially if you have one of these rare steel versions? Drumroll, please. If you've got a 1944 steel Lincoln wheat penny in exceptional condition, you could be sitting on a coin worth as much as $58,000. That's right, $58,000 for a single penny. Imagine how amazing it would be to find one of these rare steel pennies hidden away in a collection or even among a jar of loose change. It's a perfect example of how certain errors or rarities can send a coin's value skyrocketing. It's all about finding the right piece in the right condition. Now, if you've got any 1944 pennies lying around, here's a pro tip: check to see if any of them are magnetic. If so, you might have just found yourself a 1944 steel Lincoln wheat penny. But even if your penny isn't steel, don't give up hope. Many of the 1944 copper pennies are also sought after by collectors, especially those in mint condition. To all you coin hunters out there, this is a perfect example of why coin collecting can be so exciting. One moment, you're holding what seems like just an old penny, and the next, you could be holding a rare treasure worth thousands of dollars. Today, we're taking a close look at a coin that has fascinated collectors for decades, the 1945 Lincoln wheat penny. At first glance, it might look like an ordinary old cent, but believe me, there's a lot more to this tiny piece of American history than meets the eye. So grab your coin jars, magnifying glasses, and your curiosity, because by the end of this video, you might just find yourself checking your change for a hidden treasure. Let's rewind the clock to the year 1945. World War II was drawing to a close, and the United States was experiencing a massive shift, not only economically and socially but even in something as small and humble as the penny. The Lincoln wheat penny, which had already been in circulation since 1909, continued to serve as a symbol of national pride and resilience. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the coin features the iconic image of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse side and two wheat stalks on the reverse, representing strength and agricultural prosperity. But it's the details of the 1945 edition that make this coin particularly interesting. Millions of these pennies were minted that year, but here's the twist: not all of them were created equally. Most were struck in copper alloy, but a few were created with remarkable errors or rare minting quirks that make them extremely desirable today. These rare versions are what collectors dream of, and the thrill of finding one is like striking gold. One of the most sought-after characteristics of the 1945 Lincoln wheat penny is a mint error known as a double die. This happens when the coin is struck twice by the die, causing the design, especially the lettering and numbers, to appear doubled. If you look at a 1945 penny and notice that the word Liberty or the date looks like it has a shadow or is slightly overlapping, don't brush it off. That's a potential double die error, and it could be worth a lot. But wait, there's more. Some rare versions of the 1945 penny have been found with off-center strikes, where the design is not perfectly aligned due to a misfeed during minting. Others were struck on planchets meant for different coins, like dimes, resulting in a lighter weight and unusual appearance. These error coins are incredibly rare, and their oddities make them fascinating to collectors who are always on the hunt for something unique. Another thing to look out for is the mint mark. The 1945 Lincoln wheat penny was produced in 3 different mints: Philadelphia, no mint mark; Denver, D, and San Francisco, S. While most were struck in high quantities, finding one in uncirculated or mint state condition, especially from the San Francisco Mint, can significantly boost its value. Why? Because coins that have never been in circulation maintain their original luster and details, traits that collectors pay big money for. Let's not forget the historical value of this coin. It was minted during a time of great change and recovery in the United States. Owning a 1945 penny is like holding a piece of that powerful post-war era in your hands. It connects us to the past in a way few other objects can. And for collectors, history and rarity combine to create a powerful allure. So, how much could one of these little treasures be worth? Well, here's the jaw-dropping part. If you happen to have a 1945 Lincoln wheat penny with one of those rare minting errors, or if it's in pristine, uncirculated condition, it could be worth as much as $56,000. Yes, you heard that right, $56,000 for a single penny that you could have walked right past or tossed into a change jar. That's the beauty of coin collecting. It's not just about the face value. It's about the stories, the mistakes, the rarity, and the incredible history behind each coin. So, go check those old jars, flip through your coin albums, or maybe even ask your grandparents if they've got a stash of pennies hiding in a drawer somewhere. You never know, your 1945 penny could be a hidden treasure waiting to be discovered. Today, we're diving into a tiny piece of copper that could be worth a small fortune, the 1957 Lincoln wheat penny. Yes, you heard that right. This humble 1-cent coin might just be your golden ticket to something extraordinary. So stick around, because we're about to explore what makes this particular penny so special, and why collectors across the globe are on the hunt for this rare beauty. Now, let's rewind the clock to 1957, a time when Elvis Presley ruled the radio. Gas cost just 24 cents a gallon, and the Lincoln wheat penny was still in its final years of production. First introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, the Lincoln wheat penny was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person instead of Lady Liberty. And it quickly became a national symbol of American pride and history. The 1957 wheat penny features the classic image of Lincoln on the obverse, with the words, "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the date stamped clearly. On the reverse, you'll see the iconic wheat ears framing the phrase, 1 cent, and United States of America, with De Pluribus Unum across the top. It's a simple yet powerful design, created by Victor David Brenner, and it remains one of the most recognizable coin designs in American history. But what makes the 1957 Lincoln wheat penny stand out? Why would any collector be willing to pay more than just a cent, or even thousands of dollars, for it? Let's talk rarity and condition. First, most 1957 pennies were minted in large numbers. Over 1 billion were struck between the Philadelphia and Denver mints. But here's the thing, while they're common in worn condition, finding a 1957 penny in perfect, uncirculated condition is becoming increasingly rare. Time takes a toll on coins, scratches, discoloration, and wear from decades of circulation make pristine versions hard to come by. And collectors know this, but what really drives up the value? It's the errors. That's right, the mistakes made during the minting process are what transform an everyday coin into a high-value collectible. One of the most famous errors linked to the 1957 penny is the double die error. This happens when the coin is struck twice with a slight misalignment, causing the text or images to appear doubled. Imagine seeing Liberty or the date 1957 with a shadow effect. That's a classic double die. These kinds of flaws are rare and are like gold dust in the coin collecting world. There are also known examples of off-center strikes, repunched mint marks, and even pennies mistakenly struck on foreign planchets or underweight blanks. Any of these anomalies can make a coin truly one of a kind, and collectors love nothing more than owning something truly unique. If you're checking your coins at home, make sure to pay close attention to the mint mark too. The 1957 pennies were minted in Philadelphia, no mint mark, and Denver, D mint mark. Both versions can be valuable, especially with errors or in mint state condition. Coins graded MS65 and above, that's mint state, are incredibly desirable and can command a significant premium on the market. Another key factor in determining value is eye appeal. Does the coin still have its original luster? Are the strike details sharp and clean? Even small things like color and surface tone can influence how much someone is willing to pay. A bright, well-preserved 1957 wheat penny is like a time capsule from the past, and that makes it precious. So here comes the $1 million, or should I say, multi-$1,000, question. What is the value of a 1957 Lincoln wheat penny if it checks all the boxes: pristine condition, rare mint error, and high collector demand? Get ready, because if you have a 1957 Lincoln wheat penny that's in exceptional condition, especially one with a rare double die or another minting error, it could be worth as much as $43,000. Yes, you heard that right. $43,000 for a coin that was originally worth just a penny. That's the kind of discovery that makes coin collecting so thrilling, the possibility that something so small, so seemingly ordinary, could be a hidden treasure. So, go grab that old coin jar, check your penny rolls, and take a closer look at any 1957 wheat pennies you might have. Because who knows? You could be sitting on a piece of American history worth tens of thousands of dollars. Today's episode is about one of those humble little coins that often gets overlooked, yet could be worth a jaw-dropping amount if you happen to find the right one. We're talking about none other than the 1953 Lincoln wheat penny, a classic coin with a powerful backstory, a few fascinating secrets, and, for some lucky collectors, a seriously impressive price tag. So sit back, relax, and listen closely, because you just might be holding on to a small piece of copper that's worth way more than you ever imagined. Let's start with a little background. The year 1953 was smack in the middle of a post-war America. The country was booming with optimism, industry, and innovation. In your pocket, chances are you'd find the iconic Lincoln wheat penny, a coin that had already become an American staple since its first release in 1909. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the Lincoln wheat penny was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person, President Abraham Lincoln, and its design remained relatively unchanged for decades. On the obverse, we see Lincoln's stately profile, surrounded by the words, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and of course, the date, 1953. On the reverse, those classic wheat ears curve around the phrases, "1 cent," and "United States of America," proudly bearing the motto, "E pluribus unum." It's simple, timeless, and deeply rooted in American identity. Now, here's the part that gets collectors excited. What exactly makes the 1953 Lincoln wheat penny rare or valuable? To start, 3 U.S. mints produced the 1953 penny: Philadelphia, no mint mark; Denver, D, and San Francisco, S. While millions of these pennies were minted, finding one in flawless, uncirculated condition today is incredibly difficult. Most have been worn down from decades of circulation. But the real magic lies in those rare, error-struck coins that manage to slip past quality control. Yes, coin errors, the kind of mistakes that make a piece one of a kind and turn everyday coins into collector gold. One of the most desirable varieties of the 1953 penny is the double die obverse. This error happens when the coin die strikes the coin more than once, slightly misaligned. The result? You'll see doubling on key details like the date or the word Liberty. This isn't something that happens often, and when it does, it creates a striking, visible error that collectors can't resist. Another potential jackpot is an off-center strike. This happens when the planchet, that's the blank piece of metal, isn't properly aligned under the die, causing the image to be stamped off to the side. These off-center coins are eye-catching and rare, and depending on the degree of the error, they can command high values at auction. And then we have the repunched mint marks, especially with Denver or San Francisco coins. Sometimes the mint mark was punched into the die more than once, slightly offset. If you spot a D or S that looks like it's shadowed or doubled, you might be looking at one of these rare mint mark errors. But even without an error, if your 1953 Lincoln wheat penny is in mint state condition, that means it looks just as perfect as the day it was made. It could already be worth far more than its face value. The luster, the sharpness of the strike, and the overall eye appeal can all dramatically boost a coin's worth. Collectors especially look for coins graded MS-65 or higher, and those are not easy to come by. What's truly fascinating is that this small coin represents more than just money. It's a symbol of a booming America, a tribute to one of the greatest presidents in history, and a reminder of how even everyday objects can become priceless artifacts when time and rarity come into play. So now, the big question: how much could a rare or high-grade 1953 Lincoln wheat penny actually be worth today? Well, if you happen to have one that features a rare minting error, like a strong double die, off-center strike, or repunched mint mark, and it's been preserved in mint condition, its value could reach an astonishing $47,000. Yes, you heard that correctly, $47,000 for a penny that might be hiding in your attic, a coin roll, or a family collection. So don't underestimate that old change jar. It could be holding history, and maybe even a small fortune. If you enjoyed this video and you love discovering the hidden stories and values behind old coins, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a single episode. And let us know in the comments, have you ever come across a 1953 wheat penny? Maybe you already have one and just didn't know its potential. Thanks for joining us today, and as always, happy collecting, and may your next coin be the one that changes everything.